Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smashboard Show right here on Smash FM here on Super Bowl Sunday, and of course, obviously Monday over here. But let's go cross-reference over in the US, and of course we are talking about the NFL, of course, and we are heading to the NFC side of things, and of course we're heading to the East Coast of America, of course, to Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, it's been with the Atlanta Falcons cheerleaders. And of course, we got two very special guests joining us right now to tell us a bit about how it's been like over there. But thanks both for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're happy to be
Thank you
here.
so much for having us.
No worries. Well, I will get both of you to introduce yourselves and tell us how long have you been with the Falcons?
Sure. So my name's Danielle, and I just wrapped up my third season with the Atlanta Falcons. And prior to being on the Falcons, I was actually with the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA for 2 seasons.
Hello, my name is Dante Sanders, and I am in my rookie season with the Atlanta Falcons. I have been a part of the NFL cheerleading world for about 3 years now, but I'm so thankful to be a part of the Atlanta Falcons organization. It's been such an incredible experience.
Tell us, how good was it to be, having fans back in Atlanta after this season, the year before, where virtually no one was in the stands? I guess how good is to have the fans back there in Atlanta, and especially to perform in front of them?
Absolutely. I can speak to that. So being on the team last year during a COVID season was crazy. I mean, we had some fans there. Everyone was masked up. We still had some cheerleaders at games, but it wasn't our full team and we weren't on the field. So just to be included in game day was major, because some teams, they didn't even use their cheerleaders at all. So we were incredibly appreciative of that. But being able to be back in basically what felt like a normal season, just, it fills your heart and it just makes you feel like there's hope and that like things are turning around. So having been on both sides of it is just, it's very eye-opening, and we feel very grateful that the Falcons value us and include us in game day like they do, because some teams didn't get that experience. So we had an amazing time.
So Danielle, I have to ask you then, how strange was it to virtually perform in front of virtually no one last season? And I guess, especially now, obviously you weren't there like regularly on a normal home game, and it was in rotation. How strange was that?
It was weird, but you just have to adapt to it. Nobody knew what was going on in the year of 2020. Everything was so up in the air and was changing on a dime. So we just had to be prepared for anything and everything. And we were just grateful to be there. And, we do community appearances where we're performing for 5 people sometimes too. And whether there's 5 million people there or 5 people there, we're still going to perform at our absolute best, because that doesn't affect our performance. We love doing what we do, even when we're just at practice and there's no one watching us.
And especially for our Australian listeners, obviously we get to watch most of your games already this year. I guess for everyone out there who have no idea, what is a typical game day for the team?
Yeah, so I can talk about this. We normally get to the stadium about 4 to 5 hours before the game starts, because there's a lot of preparation behind the scenes that goes into getting ready for game day. So we're in the locker room, we're doing our morning rituals, and then we're getting ready for our field practice that happens before the game. So we have so many things that we do to be prepared. And then once the game starts, of course, once kickoff hits, it's, high energy and the ball is rolling from there, and it does not stop. So you have to be very physically fit. You have to be very mentally on for game day. It is not for the faint of heart. It is something that is so much fun for us, but it's also, a lot of work, because we are working. But it's cool to be able to do what we love to do in that high energy setting.
I know you get the chance to meet the fans before the game, and obviously that's, I guess, a typical thing for a lot of NFL cheerleaders. I guess, how good is that? And when do you get to a point of knowing that, the excitement about me and the fans, obviously in a COVID safe way, especially with the days we live in right now, I guess how excited do you get knowing that get to meet the fans, have a photo with them, and have to ask, how many times do you get asked about getting photos on pregame?
Being with the fans is super fun because when we're on the field, we don't really get that interaction. And that was something that was kind of cool and unique about this year, is that we were only allowed to have 30 cheerleaders on the field per game this season. And we had 40 members on the team. So we had 10 people up kind of on the stage in like a standing room only area in the 100 level seats. And that was cool because we still got to perform on game day, but we got to jump off the little podium and take pictures with fans. And, you know, sometimes when we're out in the community and meeting fans, that's the only time that they will ever get a touch point with anyone from the Falcons. They may not be able to attend a game, or maybe they've just never been to our stadium before. And so we are that lasting memory in that moment that people have in that interaction. So for us, it's a very cool, very unique experience that some, you know, the players don't necessarily get sometimes, and some other teams don't get. That's really awesome for us that we get to do that.
So how many times this year have both of you been asked to get a photo with fans?
My goodness, that's a countless number of times. That's such a hard question to ask because, you know, when we're at appearances and when we're in, you know, in the public, that's normally what we're doing, is we're taking pictures. We do a lot of appearances outside of game day and outside of practice. And mostly that's what we are doing. We're interacting with the fans, hands-on, taking pictures, maybe signing autographs. So there's no way to answer that question because I don't think we are keeping tabs on how many pictures we've taken. But that's a really good question. We should think about that for seasons to come because I'm sure the number would be crazy.
I know that you had a cheerleader that went to the Pro Bowl last week. I guess you must tell us who that cheerleader is, how important she has been to, you know, throughout this year, but obviously in the past, because obviously it's not normally a rookie that normally goes over.
Yeah, so our representative this year was Jenna. She was one of our captains, and it was her 6th year on the team. She was our only 6-year veteran. And so it's a team vote. So we get to select who we want to represent us at Pro Bowl. And unfortunately, the rookies are not eligible to go, but we can vote for anyone else on the team. And I don't know how the vote shaped out, but I would like to believe that it was almost in unison of people that voted for her, because not only is she a captain and a 6-year veteran, but just a true superstar. I mean, fantastic dancer, incredible representation of the organization and of the Falcons, well-spoken, well-rounded. I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer. I'm like, I have to vote for Jenna. Like, she's fantastic. So she was a great representation of our organization. So proud of her. I know she had the best time.
I second that. She represented us so well. It looks like she had an amazing time. And it looks like she just truly was, you know, just living in her passion of being at Pro Bowl, because she's done so much, as Danielle has said, for our program, and she's represented us so well. So she truly deserved that experience.
Tell us a bit about your amazing, obviously, coaches that has guided all you through this.
Oh my gosh, our coaches are spectacular. They've been with the Falcons for over 20 years. They were both cheerleaders and now are on, you know, the flip side as coaches. And honestly, they're a huge reason why I am a part of this team. I don't know what the organization would be like without them, because our program is what it is because of them. Something that I absolutely love and admire about them is that for them, they always say that our careers and our things that we do outside of being a Falcons cheerleader is the bulk of our lives, right? Like, being a Falcons cheerleader should just be the icing on the cake. It shouldn't be what defines us and what makes us who we are as a person. It's just something extra that makes us a little extra special, you know? And I think that that's very cool and very honorable that they really value what we do outside of our cheerleading and dance. And it's, I mean, they are just super motivating, super inspirational, just some of the best women that I know. I love them.
Same. I agree. I can go on and on about our coaches because they are truly the backbone of our system and of our program. They go above and beyond to make sure that we are taken care of, make sure that we are valued as cheerleaders. Different programs do different things, but I know that for AFC, we are just so prideful of our coaches because they truly make our experience so wonderful. We love you. Shout out to y'all. We have to give a shout out. We can't go on and on about them without saying we don't love them, right?
Gotcha. I'll start off with you first. Now, of course, you're not from Georgia, your hometown. You're from Mississippi. So what convinced you to become an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader?
Yeah, so I actually have family that live here in Atlanta, and I just decided to go for it. Cheering professionally is something that I kind of always dreamed of, but never knew that I could do because, as you know, as of recent years, males have joined the NFL as professional
Right.
cheerleaders. And so I never thought that I would have that opportunity growing up, but now I do. And it's just such an honor to be able to do what I love on a professional level with a team that is so prevalent in the NFL. So I couldn't have asked for a better team to be on, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience.
No stranger to the limelight because you've actually represented Mississippi in 4 national competitions and recently you actually got recently crowned the Mr. Universal in the USA. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I've competed in pageants and competitions for pretty much all of my life. And I set it as a goal when I was about 11 years old to win a national title and represent the USA at an international competition. So you've got it right. You did your research. 4 different competitions, right? And I finally won. I finally cracked the code there. But I'm so excited. In May, I won Mr. Universal USA. And in May of this year, I'll be representing the USA in Colombia at the Mr. Universal competition. So I'm very excited about that.
How are you juggling? How have you been juggling that with obviously being at AFC?
Yeah, so the life of an NFL cheerleader is very busy. As Danielle said, our coaches always encourage us to pour into our personal lives and take what we can from NFL cheerleading and put it to our personal lives. So I take different things that I learn as an AFC and put it into pageantry and put it into my career daily. So it all kind of intermixes, and it's just all about time management and balance. And that's what being an NFL cheerleader motivates me to do. It motivates me to stick to a certain schedule, plan out my days, plan out everything that I have to do so that I can be able to 100% give myself to the Atlanta Falcons as the cheerleader and also to my title as Mr. Universal USA.
Danielle, of course, this is your 3rd year, as you mentioned. And now, of course, you mentioned prior to that, you actually was an NBA dancer as well with the Atlanta Hawks. So what convinced you to go from the NBA to the NFL?
I think a lot of professional dancers, they want to be able to accomplish both because they're such different experiences. And so that was a big thing for me, is like I had conquered being on the court and I was ready to kind of move on and see what it felt like being on the field. And it's interesting, we actually do a lot of similar choreography because most teams will go to Pro Action, which is a big dance convention out in Vegas. And we train with some incredible choreographers from around the world. But the way that we perform is very different. Like on a court, just the actual material that you're performing on is going to be different than being on a turf, on grass that's squishier and, much different feeling. But then also NBA, the fans are right in front of your face and you're very close to them. But then NFL, you kind of have to perform upwards a little bit more and much bigger and more exaggerated. So they're very different experiences and ways of performing. And I'm so grateful and so honored that I've been able to have the experience to do both. It's really, really cool.
So my question I'm going to ask you, Danielle, then, what would you prefer? Being an NFL cheerleader for the Falcons or being an NBA dancer as in Atlanta?
Yeah, okay. So that's really hard to answer, right? Because both are very unique experiences. But I will say I grew up a really big football fan. So NFL has always had a special place in my heart. And it's really cool to be a part of like NFL legacy moments that are just very unique and very one of a kind. I also think it's really cool to watch the like iconic coaches and sports reporters and sideline reporters, like people that I've been seeing on TV for years and accomplishing these major legacies, right? And being able to see that up close and personal is just a very, very cool experience I do not take for granted. So for me, I love being a part of the NFL. I loved my time with the NBA, but NFL just holds a very special place in my heart growing up loving football.
Of course, I have to ask, you are from Atlanta, Georgia. So how good is it to do all this in your hometown?
Interesting enough, so I've actually moved around a lot. I claim Atlanta because Atlanta's what feels like home to me, and it's where I went to college. But I spent the first part of my life living in Massachusetts, and then came down to Georgia when I was younger. After college, I moved around quite a bit, so I've been all over the place. So it's hard to say what really like where I'm from, but Atlanta is what feels like home to me. So I claim Atlanta as my hometown, but I was not born and raised here per se. But Atlanta's like, when I drive through the city, I'm like, ooh, I'm at home. So Atlanta's home to me now that I'm grown, and it's what feels like home.
Okay, I didn't do my research on that one then. So.
It's a very hard answer. It's every time people ask me, oh, where are you from? What's your hometown? I'm like, Atlanta. I just make it easy. Because of that reason. I've moved around so much. So it's hard to say.
And I'll just say, people know Danielle in Atlanta. It's definitely home for her because Danielle, she's got red, beautiful hair, right? So she's that known girl who cheered for the Hawks and who now cheers for the Falcons. So she's very celebrity, like in Atlanta, we'll say.
Thanks, Dante. You're giving me more credit than you do. Thank you for that. But I am so not. I'm not an influencer or anything like that. But thank you.
You are. To me, you are.
Oh.
Funny enough, both you're in the marketing business. I guess outside of cheerleading, obviously, Dante, you're a marketing coordinator. Danielle, you are an area marketing manager at the moment as well. So how's this intertwined with what you do, obviously, with the Atlanta Falcons cheerleaders and what you do outside of work?
Yeah, so as you know, in any professional career, you have to use your brain, right? And being an AFC cheerleader, it keeps your mind on because you have so much to remember. As I talked about earlier, you have to plan out your life. You have to plan out your days. And so if you have a demanding job, you have to make sure that you are giving enough time to your job, but also giving 100% of your time and energy to the Atlanta Falcons. So it's just very, sometimes it is difficult. Sometimes it's a lot when you have, demanding careers like myself and Danielle. But it correlates because using your brain and using those planning tactics that we get from being NFL cheerleaders, it goes into our jobs as well, and it helps us thrive and be great at what we do in our personal lives. So it does kind of all intertwine, especially in the marketing career, because you have to stay on top of things. You have to use your brain. You have to always be organized. So it's the same thing with NFL cheerleading.
Yeah, and for me, so before the role that I'm currently in, I was working for the Coca-Cola company for 3 years, and we did a lot of work with our Atlanta sports teams being based out of Atlanta. And it's cool to see both worlds come to life, and moments where we were doing, marketing activations or events with Coca-Cola. That was something also with the Atlanta Falcons, and I get to kind of do both. And then now I'm working for a brand called Buffalo Wild Wings, which is a major sports bar chain. So what's cool with that is I'm constantly having conversations with major sporting teams across the country, discussing potential partnerships and opportunities to get involved with them. And so for me, having that love of sports and actually working in the industry and getting to kind of have both worlds collide in my career is really cool.
What does the AFC mean to you?
Oh my gosh, it's so special. It's something that I definitely do not take for granted. I love every single moment of it. Soak it up. I mean, all the hard work that we put in year round. The off season is not just hang out and do whatever. I mean, we're training probably even harder in the off season, but that's because we're so dedicated to it and we love it. And we don't want to lose our spot on the team. We constantly have to work for it, and it's incredibly rewarding. You're constantly pushing yourself and challenging yourself and learning from your teammates and growing as a person. I mean, it's truly an incredible experience. I never want to let it go. I'm like, please let me do this until I die. It's so special. It's so cool. And it's not even to say oh, I'm a Falcons cheerleader. It's the whole thing about it, of putting in all this hard work and training your entire life to get to do something like this. It's so special. It's so unique. I definitely do not take it for granted.
Yeah, and for me, it's definitely the same thing that Danielle was saying. It's truly a special experience because not everyone gets to be an NFL cheerleader, especially for the Atlanta Falcons. It's truly the most unique organization to be a part of and cheer for. And I think for the most part, what a lot of people don't realize is that there are so many things that you gain from NFL cheerleading. Our coaches say it all the time. We are not just a dance team and we're not just cheerleaders. There are so many life skills that you can take with you for the rest of your life through being a part of this program. It goes back to what I just said about planning and organizing. I would not be as organized or as well planned out as I am without NFL cheerleading because it forces you to organize your life. It gives you those social skills because you're thrown into situations like this where you have to talk to new people from all over the world. It gives you so many different skills that you can take with you in your career and in your life. And it's just so much more than just being a cheerleader. And that's why it's so special to me because I know that I will always remember and I will always gain life experience from being an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader.
What will be your advice to people that should get involved in, the NFL and especially being a cheerleader there, especially for everyone down here in Australia that, hopefully their dreams is to be over there. And I believe your auditions is coming up very soon.
Yes. So my biggest piece of advice is don't get ready, is to stay ready. Train year round, train in different styles. The thing that's great about the current scape that we're in of people being able to train virtually is that pretty much every team in the NFL and the NBA, they offer virtual prep classes. So that's a great opportunity to be able to join those, get a feel for how those teams train and what their styles are, and just to be totally prepared to audition for a team. I mean, it's something that you don't just decide to do overnight and show up the next day. Like, you have to train really hard and you have to make sure that you're well versed in what that organization is all about and the style and the way that they perform and the values of that team as well.
I agree with everything that Danielle said. It's all about being prepared. This decision is a big decision, and there are so many different people who want this opportunity. I think last year we had, I don't even want to say a number because I don't want to be wrong, but I feel like we started out with over 700 applicants, if I'm correct. It just with the virtual process, tryout process, we had so many people who were interested in being AFCs because it was accessible to them. And so that's my best advice, kind of piggybacking off of what Danielle said. Utilize those things that are accessible to you, like those virtual prep classes if you can't get there in person, and just take any other classes in your area, but mainly utilize what that particular organization that you want to be a part of is out there so that you can know their style and know how they operate as a team.
How special is to have each other on the same team, and what have both of you learned from each other?
I can start out with this one. I am so incredibly inspired by Danielle. I don't even think she knows how just obsessed I am with her. I actually, I made it on her Instagram in 2 posts in like 2 days. So if you go to her Instagram page, you will see me twice. And so that just shows the camaraderie. I know that Danielle is someone that I can always look up to, and I can always call for advice on anything AFC related, career related, personal life related. She's just such an amazing teammate, and I'm truly thankful to be on this team with her.
Oh, Dante, love you. Oh my gosh. So honestly, same, because the thing that's so amazing about Dante is like, he's just always happy to be here. Just the energy, the professionalism, just constantly a bright light, and always just so happy and infectious to be around, and so talented. I mean, this boy can tumble like nobody's business. I remember seeing him at auditions and flipping and doing all these crazy things. And I'm like, meanwhile, I can basically do a cartwheel. Like, that's about all I got. But I mean, just so well-rounded. I mean, he's come from another NFL organization as well. So, I mean, he may be a rookie on this team, but this is not his first rodeo. Like, he's done this before, and just so spectacular. I mean, he's freaking like king of the universe, right? Like, that's basically what you are. So So this is something that we love about our team and our program is right that like we all have very special things about us and different things that we love about one another. And I was actually really excited when I found out that it was going to be me and Dante doing this interview because I was like, oh, it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah. And me and Danielle, our energies match. We find ourselves in routines like right beside each other or right, in front of or behind each other. And we'll always, during those routines, we'll have a part where we'll have to turn around or we'll maybe have to turn our head a certain way. We always look at each other and we smile the entire time because we know we have to look at each other. There's been a couple of routines like that, Danielle, you know it. And we just have so much fun together. So, me and her, we're just, like I said, we're tight and she's just an amazing veteran to look up to. I'm so thankful for you, Danielle. This has turned into like just a me and Danielle.
The Dante and Danielle show.
So thank you for this.
Yeah, this is fun. Let's do this again sometime.
Right.
I didn't think it was going to pan out like this, but anyway.
Oh my goodness. This is so much fun.
Let's finish off with a couple of lighthearted questions now. So I know there's, what you do is amazing and pretty much I love what you all do, especially on the field and performing in front of people. But is there ever an embarrassing moment that your teammates have done?
That's a good one.
Oh, I have one. And I won't say her name for the sake of not embarrassing her. But when this is a good one. When we went to London for the international games this year, we had our field practice. And luckily it was not during a game and it was just us at the stadium. But so right before, the game starts, we do what we call player tunnels. We rush out of the tunnel and we have a little like march and a skip kind of that we do to get to our spots. And so we're all excited. And again, it's just practice. There's no one there and we're going for it. And she just falls down, just fully falls down. And we were like, girl, get back up. Come on, let's go. Like she got to bounce back up. But luckily it was just during a practice. So it was fine. But yeah, things like that happen all the time. I mean, we're not perfect, the ground sometimes catches us when we fall. Like, okay.
Yes, we're human. It happens. But we get right back up though.
You have to.
We just always hope that there are no cameras around when that happens. We don't want to end up on TikTok or YouTube or anything like that. So
you just say, oh, I was freestyling. I was a solo moment. Like I was supposed to do that. My solo.
So I have to ask then. So who's the comedian?
You know what? I will say this, and I will say that most of the time I don't try to be. I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. I'm totally throwing myself under the bus here. But, me, I'm just kind of an outspoken person. I kind of say what comes to mind sometimes, or I may ask a question before I really think about the question I just asked. And a lot of times I find that I'll say something and everyone's laughing. I'll look around and I'm like, oh, okay. I think that was kind of funny. So if I had to think of one person, I would just go ahead and say it's me,
Fair.
I'm going to throw myself in there for that one for sure.
Everyone's the best dancer on the team because that's what you do. So I'm not going to ask that question. So who's any good?
I'm going to just say it's Danielle.
No. Thank you, but no.
And I have to say that because she's sitting here with us, but it's somewhat true too.
Oh, well, thank you. But I think there are people far more talented. That's what's great about it, right? It keeps us on our toes. Like you always are taking bits and pieces of things that people do that are really special. And, the way that they might flip their hair or do a certain move, you take bits and pieces of things that pop out to people, that make everyone super talented and special.
Any good singers on the team we should know about?
I actually am a singer, not professionally. I've been singing my whole life, musical theater and choir and all of that. So actually I do sing, but not today.
Yeah, I was scared to say that I do sing a little bit because I don't want you to ask for any tidbits.
Yep.
But I've sang a little bit too. Growing up in pageants, it's kind of hard to not sing in that realm. I actually saw a picture of Danielle the other day, and it was her at a microphone singing, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what did you sing?"
When I competed in a pageant, actually.
She did.
Funny enough. It's cool, actually. We competed in like a nonprofit organization performance called Battle for the Brain. That's for Alzheimer's research. And I believe it was last week or the week before, and it's a lip sync battle. And so we weren't actually singing, but I got to lip sync to Christina Aguilera, and I was living my best life, even though I didn't actually get to sing, because that's not the point of the whole performance. But it was really fun.
And she did amazing too. I can attest. I was there. She did absolutely incredible. I was a background dancer.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, you get to meet the fans on pre-game and all that sort of things. So what's the strangest request that you've ever got from a fan?
Well, I will say this. There hasn't been many strange requests, but a lot of times fans will ask us to dance on cue. And, whenever we do appearances, that's kind of something that's worked out before the appearance starts. So we can, know what we're doing and have a routine together. So we have dance appearances and we have non-dance appearances. And those dance appearances are appearances that we know we're going to be performing a routine at, right? And so at those non-dance appearances, people will just ask us to just bust a move, and we're kind of looking at each other like, I don't think we're too prepared for it. So it's always kind of strange. That's a typical request that we usually get at appearances. And sometimes we just have to be like, I'm sorry, but not today. Catch us at the next game.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a pre-game superstition or ritual?
So Danielle and myself actually kind of talked about this, and it's kind of a weird. We're very superstitious, and we're very we stick to our rituals, right? And this one is a very serious one. Are you ready for it? And it's kind of a secret, but we're going to let you in on the behind the scenes of the life of an Atlanta Falcons cheerleader on game day. So this very serious ritual is Uncrustables, peanut butter and jelly Uncrustables. We all have to have one either during the game or before the game starts.
Usually at halftime, it's the perfect thing to grab because it's a bunch of carbs and they're just, the small little PB&J sandwiches, but we always have them on game day and we go out to the store and buy them. And it's like, you stuff your face with an Uncrustable and you run back out to the field. But if you don't have them, it's like, it wasn't game day. Like it's
not
been a
game day
tradition for years.
I would love to try one of those.
They're pre-wrapped little sandwiches called Uncrustables because they don't have the crust on them and they're just a little circle. I have some in my freezer right now. And it's a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's about this big. So It's really easy to eat very quickly. And it's a lot of carbs because you get, the bread and the sugar from the jelly. And so it's just a great quick halftime snack because halftime for us is like 2 seconds. Wow. You run in the locker room and touch up your makeup real fast, eat an Uncrustable and run right back out.
How special is it, or will it be, to hopefully maybe one day, obviously, Denny, I mentioned, obviously, you've been to London, obviously, to perform in front of fans. So my question is then, how special will it be to hopefully bring an NFL game down to Australia and hopefully the Falcons are involved in one of those?
I just got chills. I would love that. I mean, in my personal life, I haven't been able to do a ton of traveling. I've done some work travel throughout the US and a little bit here and there. So opportunities where we get to travel as a team, they're few and far between. But when we got to go to London, that was so cool. And Australia is honestly it's probably the number one place on my bucket list. But it's so far and plane tickets are so expensive. So if the NFL wants to send us, I will be the first one in line ready to go. Passport, sign me up.
Yeah, I was going to say from your lips to the NFL's ears. So that could probably be an international game one year. And you will definitely have to host us.
Yes.
Manifest it.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to manifest that one for sure.
Yeah. Both of you, thank you so much for giving up some of your Super Bowl Sunday, even though I know the Falcons are not involved in it this year. But hopefully next year it's a different story. Hopefully this time next year we'll be talking about actually Well, you might be actually at the Super Bowl because next year, if the Falcons get there, and hopefully all goes well. And of course, enjoy the rest of the Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes, you too. Thanks for taking the time to do this. This was a blast. I love this.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
No worries. And that's Denny and Dante. They join us from the Atlanta Falcons cheerleaders. Of course, we'll put all the details up, in the lead up to obviously their auditions, of course, coming up in about a couple months' time. There's more on the Smash Sport Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.